Welcome, ladies, to Starr Empress Hour, right here on Starr ONE Original Entertainment Network. Here we will discuss the varying issues pertaining to BAFs, ranging from relationships, goals, prepping, motivation, current events, lies, education, changing thought patterns, and paradigms. So sit back and relax with us here on Starr Empress Hour as we work towards unifying, educating, and uplifting Black females. I'm Cookie Couture, and I'm here with Sister KK Hype 6. On the panel, we have Asar, Cordell, Kansu, Asir, and Roger. So, to start this off, I would like to say that last week's show we approached the issue from the opposition standpoint, pointing out the fallacies from a sociological, etymological, scientific, and Hebraic aspect. Today, however, we will discuss this issue from an ideological view. But before we get started, I'd like to point out something that I only recently learned, which is the fact that the term "the Black woman is God" is primarily attributed to Dr. Ben Yochanan, who held the African woman in high esteem and believed that she should be venerated for being the source of all life. To help us address this issue today, we have people on the panel who will present their viewpoints in favor of the term. But being as that I've already given my opinion on this topic, I'll just sit back and allow you all to talk about this issue on your own. So if anybody would like to address their view on this issue.
Sure, I'll start it off, sis. I mean, as far as where, I guess on a physical level, I guess I can, say that, all sorts, like you said, do start with the Black woman. I think on the last show we had talked about, our brother had made a statement that maybe, instead of saying, God, because, we still kind of in the search of, exactly what God is and, what's the, duties of God, and I guess the, God and good, I guess that would be something could say, perfect. And, as humans, we strive to be perfect, but we not. I think that, maybe, using that term, I feel like it has its positives and it has, its delusional, aspects of it too. Maybe, the brother also said that, something about maybe, we should say the Black woman is holy. So that way they can probably live up to that name, holy, or whatnot. Like you said, we both found out that exactly the source of the person who first kind of started that the Black woman is God. I kind of went back and watched some old clips, and it seemed like in the 60s, it really wasn't so much the Black woman. It seemed like at that time, it seemed like they was more on the subject of the Black man is God. I don't know, through now and, I mean, then and now, it seemed like, it did like a total flip on things. I don't know if that's also, what, my sister Kay always say, a mating ritual nowadays, it seemed like also, so, I'm here just, supporting, we could talk about different options, and then, also see, on the historic fact, if anybody do know, that as far as the Black woman is God, I mean, the brother Asar and Kansu, they both very well in depth as far as on Kemet, so I'm pretty sure there's some things that maybe in the past that that started this whole thing with the mother knew.
Shimon Hatep, Dua for all listening, and thank you all for inviting me and the brother Kansu on the panel. First, I would say, in defense of the elder Dr. Ben Yochanan, the Tabawi, venerated ancestor, the first depiction of any type of deity or any type of nature, or the Greek term God, is Nini. She's a female, and that's the first depiction of any type of nature or deity, and that's in Africa. And you're gonna have to excuse me on the date because I'm driving, so my concentration is not there for the dates right now. But after Nini, you start to have different depictions, like you have the Khoi people, or the Khoi, and they bring up Kagan and Kagan's wife. Okay, so these are different deities based off of nature. Now, if we go into the term God and nature and different portions of nature, we're going to have some discrepancies. But just dealing with God, the term as calling something a deity, the first one is Nini, and everyone is universally in recognition of that. If there's someone who's not in the scientific world, let them stand up and show older. But that's the oldest form that I would know. When we come to what my practice or my lifestyle, the Rametz lifestyle,
Oh, bro, you
You're breaking up a little bit, Starr.
no, you probably lost a little bit of reception. I definitely want to for you to continue though.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, I can hear you.
So when we come to the Rametz lifestyle or the ancient Egyptian lifestyle, then we start to get into different forms of nature that have feminine parts, because God is a neuter noun, meaning there's no sex, to nature, and it has feminine forms in the language and it has male forms in the language. So as you have Amun, you also have Amunet. As you have Ra, you also have Rat, or Rati, or Rat. As you have different forms of nature, you have their female counterparts. As you have Jehuti, you have Ma'at. And it keeps going in that fashion. So to say that God is not a female, you don't really, you have to understand the history of God. And as the Seba Ashraf Kwesi pointed out, I don't know anything that doesn't have a belly button or that we don't see being birthed.
Correct.
Make a comment.
Most def, Alvin.
Actually, if we really want to get crazy with it, the first thing we ever have recorded as being worshipped is snakes. The oldest religious site ever is a Khoi sand site. Actually,
That's right. Go to the Khoi. Yup.
Yeah,
Go in.
they were worshiping snakes, and if you look throughout history, there is an association with snakes and females. When you look at multiple legends around the world, even including the Bible with Eve and the serpent. But if I'm not mistaken, and Asar can correct me on that, Kagan often can take the form of a snake, right?
That's right.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, I would say if you go even further back, there's something about snakes that humans saw that was worthy of deifying. Probably the resurrection property of how it can, it leaves the dead skin behind and kind of has a new body. You know what I'm saying? They probably looking at that like, kind of like spiritually, whatever. I don't know, but
Well, from my understanding, and I might be incorrect, the elders and the ancestors, from my understanding, as far as the snake, is all seeing. They don't have eyelids, and it's basically intelligent. So I don't know. Is it symbolism? Is it allegory? And then we
Uh,
end up.
it's something. It's a little bit of symbolism and allegory, but it's also some like even when you go all the way to Australia, they say their creator is the rainbow serpent. You know, so it's like certain worship, serpent worship is dare I say it the oldest recorded kind of religion or what object or thing that's worshipped that we have on record. Um, and it's interesting why humans would would pick that kind of creature that's so unhuman like. You know what I'm saying? Like you look at a serpent. Now here's what's also odd about a serpent. A serpent is also associated with healing. Even in the Bible, when Moses put the serpent on the staff, it was like healing people. So again, this creature that got venom and that can constrict you and a very deadly creature. How they associated that creature with healing is also something interesting to look at.
So if anybody on the panel was it? So we see the snake, and also I see a lot of times in the ancient times too. Is the cow or the cat
That's a good point. That's a good point. A cow. Mhm.
Now, if we go to the cow, we get to Moses' people, Moses and Aaron, how they worship the gold cow. Do the same thing. They venerate the cow. They use the cow urine for a lot of
Hold on, you breaking up, brother.
things.
Hold on. We couldn't even hear what you
I
said.
thought,
Breaking up a little bit.
yeah, we can't hear you.
Can y'all hear me a little better?
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Yep.
Okay. Nope, messing up again. I'm gonna give it a rest till I get to the house. I'm almost there.
Okay then. Okay. But most definitely, I mean, the serpent and then the cow. So I mean, I guess I can kind of understand as far as where the cow come from. I mean,
Or you go all the way to India. They don't kill cows in some places over there.
hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So there is a thing with a cow.
So is it because maybe when women can't breastfeed, that cow feeds the child?
I mean, it could be that, but you get so much stuff out of a cow. You can use their hide to clothe you. You can eat their flesh. You can make cheese out of the milk. You can drink the milk. It's like the cow is like an all-purpose thing for a human. So people start worshiping it. You can kind of see how that happened, being that it gives we depended on it so much heavily. One of the first domesticated animals. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I mean, I can see how they would deify a cow. The thing that perplexed me is why the serpent though. I mean, a serpent. It like if I had a cobra in my room right now, I'm not going to be in this room right now. Very deadly creature. It's a very deadly, non-human, frightening creature. Why that is a creature is associated with healing and wisdom and all these positive properties is very interesting. And it's you almost on every part of the world, the serpent is looked at like that. Like the Hopi Indians call these people their snake brothers. So it's like I don't get it, man. It's interesting.
Hmm. I mean, do you think it's a woman can basically mesmerize or hypnotize you like they say a snake can? I mean, I'm trying to relate everything back to the woman. Or I don't know if
There is an ancient, very, very ancient relationship with a snake and a woman. Now, of course, from my paradigm, I'm going to say it goes back to Eve and the snake. But even without the Bible, let's say the Bible doesn't exist. There still is this thing with snakes and women throughout cultures. Like, for example, in Aztec culture, the woman, one of the first women, convinced Kukulkan, this big feathered serpent, to put her and her husband inside of this tree to protect them from a worldwide flood. Now that's all the way in Mesoamerica, you know. So even all the way over there, you still see this thing with a woman and a serpent. And the serpent, the rainbow serpent I was telling you about in Australia, that is a female serpent. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, whether you want to attribute it to Adam and Eve, there is a very ancient thing with snakes and women. Like, there's even a ceremony. I know this probably is like a PG show. I could show it to you.
No, it's definitely not no PG show,
Okay.
bro.
Well, there's actually a video I could show y'all, and there's a ritual that this one African tribe does. If you're a woman and you're having fertility problems and you can't give birth to children, they'll go into the witch doctor's house, and he will literally take a snake and shove the snake up the woman's vagina to solve her fertility problems. So it's like, you know, that's ringing back to something very old and ancient with snakes and women. You know, I believe it goes back to Adam and Eve. But if you don't believe in the Bible, even if you don't believe in the Bible, there's something must have happened with a snake and a woman thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years ago. Why people keep connecting them two things together. You know, what that is, I don't know. But you see it almost in every culture.
Yeah,
The snake was also venerated in Victorian culture, and I believe, Queen Elizabeth, she wore a snake ring for her wedding ring. It was a double snake wrapped around each other kind of ring. And you see them on eBay. It's quite common. So, yes, all throughout history, the snake and the woman was tied together. In Victorian history, the snake was said to be a symbol of love.
Right. And then you got Mommy Wata. You got Mommy Wata, the mermaid woman with the snakes all around her. Then, of course, you got Medusa. I'm telling you, the snake woman thing is a very old paradigm.
Also, I wanted to add that, you know, if we look at the whole symbol of Baphomet, and and we see the two snakes going around his phallus, and you know, the lower part of his body, as far as his legs, is the snake skin. You know, even though he have hooves, the lower part of his body is the snake skin. So you know, that's mostly looked at as a what you call that, a androgynous.
Yeah, he was he's that picture Eliphas Levi drew was supposed to represent duality. That's why you got the little sun symbol at the top and the moon symbol at the bottom. He's a man, but he got breasts. You know, it's like.
And it also represents the four elements. You know.
Yeah.
You see, he got the wings. He got the fire.
Yep. He got the fire coming out the top of
the earth. And then, you know, he has he also has fish scales too on him. So, you know, that's the water. And
yeah, the fish scales is like on his forearms, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, so it's you know, the snake. Now I was going to touch on what the brother Asar was talking about. See, that stuff of snake and healing, they use snake venom now to cure people from snake bites.
Right.
Like you gotta use. That's what they get. They get snake venom in order to cure it. I don't know the process involved in that, but it's kind of interesting that the venom within itself can cure you from something.
Because one snake is immune to another snake. Certain snakes are enemies of each other, and they can use the venom from one to counteract the other one.
Mm. Okay. I didn't know that either. You know, what's the deity, Baal? Baal? I might be mistakenly,
Yeah, that's right.
um, he was, or she, if I might, I don't want to get it, misinterpreted.
He was a cow. He was a cow deity.
Oh, it was? I thought, he was represented as a serpent and was, considered the storm god who fertilized the earth with rain.
He was a storm god, but they usually depict him as a cow.
Okay. 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 Wait, sorry he dropped off. He probably about to come back in to get his reception straightened up.
But see, the bell actually would see the whole cow concept is African. You know, of worshiping cows. You can see that in the Maasai tribe because they're pastoralists. You know what I'm saying? That's why I always say the Bible is way more associated with African culture than it could ever be with European culture, because you see the pastoralist culture in the Bible the same way you see with the Maasai or the Fulani or the Afar, those people traveling through the desert with cows and goats and stuff, you know. So
Right.
it's way more of an African culture thing, because in Europe, their whole thing was like grain and you know, and farm. They ate a lot of grain and vegetables and stuff, you know.
Right.
I mean, they were shepherds. Some were shepherds, but they didn't have that nomadic pastoralist lifestyle that you would see in Africa, you know.
Mm.
So when you want to talk about cows, that's coming straight out of Africa.
Brother Offcoat, I would like to get your perspective on it because you wasn't here last time, and I definitely want to hear your perspective as far as what do you feel like with this black woman is God, and could you explain what you feel like as far as it being a mating ritual or just two people delusional, being delusional?
Peace, peace. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got some theories and shit, one of them is, which might be wrong. My theories might be wrong. Uh, it is, in my view, some sort of mating ritual to gain access to, sex for some. Um, Ultimately, what I think it does is it reinforces the feminist ideology that all of us have gotten through white domination. You know what I'm saying? That's like the motherfucking sprinkles on top of the cake.
That's
You
right.
know, you say I'm God. Now you do what the fuck I tell you to do.
Yup.
You know, I've seen this from personal experience because I used to, have the same paradigm when I was so-called African centered, and I saw how it manifested. But as I started to study white people, their influence on us, it brought me around to that theory just off observation that it reinforces the feminist ideology that we all got now. Most of us don't take an in-depth look at what feminism truly is versus the talking points we hear on fucking TV or wherever you get the information from. Like, feminism is equality. That's some old cultural meme type shit, you know.
Right.
Hell, if it was about equality, I mean, we could dead that shit with the name alone. Feminism.
Right.
And you know what, off code? You said something a couple of days ago about how white women look at the world as with the eyes of a white man, right? So if black women start falling into the feminist stuff, they too will start looking at the world in the eyes of a white man. Am I wrong?
Well, specifically, what I was saying, what I was trying to throw out there is that when I study white people, when white women talk about power, they view it through the lens of a white man. And what I mean by that is, you know, they negate whatever kind of power they have and influence and shit, forego that shit for some sort of, for lack of a better term, masculine form of power. You know what I'm saying? And they feel like if they're not doing that kind of shit, if they're not being aggressive and all of that kind of shit, that they have no power. However, that's a fluke too, because they know all they got to do is bat their eyelashes and shit. You know what I'm saying? Show a little cleavage, you dig? And you know, them white motherfuckers gonna be putty in their hands.
Ofco, what about what you said about you know, the black woman being God? How it's, you know, funny how a lot of black females say this, but at the same time you said that they don't even like each other. And how could one, you know, the black woman is God? Is that supposed to represent, you know, is that one person? Remember you had said that?
Yeah. Let me try to unpack what the fuck I was saying. The way that we use words, in my view, which could be wrong, it's very fucking confusing. Example, you hear a lot of people say the black woman is God, right? Woman is singular. It's not a fucking plural. So at that point, it makes baths seem as if they are monolithic, like they are like the fucking Borg. Beehive mentality, one body, many minds, all in sync. Now I know plenty of baths who can't stand other motherfucking baths.
Right.
Right? It's the same thing with the, you know, if a motherfucker flipping and say the black man is God, as if we all like each other and we have this Borg type mentality. We don't. We're not monolithic, you know. You know, and it's just it's confusing ass rhetoric. That's a waste of motherfucking time. And in my view, it might be we talk about these kind of things because we simply just don't know what to do about our open enemy. So we waste motherfucking time talking about theories and shit, trying to prove them, and some people trying to disprove them because we don't know what to do with white people.
I believe some are trying to integrate.
Integrating as far as what?
You have certain people that start this swirling stuff. As part of psychology, if you say that you're the person that made everyone, then that means that you can ask black men to forgive them. It's a lot deeper than than it seems. The people that really are proud of themselves and know where they come from, I'm all behind them. But the ones that are trying to give white people a way out, saying that they made them so that they're some kind of brother of us and they can give a command and we make peace with them, I'm not having that. See, they don't even have the same DNA. They don't even come from this. They have nobody else on the planet. But then you have people that start off with that, and then they end up into some kind of stuff. Love everybody, everybody's beautiful type stuff when they get finished. I'm not having that kind of stuff.
Well, I got a theory on our situation. From pretty much watching white media, and they have a saying that they like to throw around where it's one way to make a god or people to stop seeing a god as a god is to make them bleed. I feel like we've already bled. They made us bleed, and now they've turned the world against us since they pretty much seen our weakness. I don't believe the black woman or the black man being God by themselves. I think we, in a sense, together make God.
Exactly.
How do you define God, Cordell?
Well, I mean, I don't use the term, but since we're on the show and that
Right.
we're using the term, I'm using the term just for the sake of the show.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, if you want to go by the definition of the term God, I guess it would be something that's all knowing and all powerful.
Mm.
But in my sense of the word God, it would be a creator, whoever creates, or you know what I'm saying. And the black woman can't create a child by herself. You know what I'm saying? So in a sense, we would make a unit makes a God.
Mm.
I want to add on to that if I can, sir.
Most definitely.
White people got a term called linguistic determinism, right?
Mm-hmm.
In linguistics, where they say your relationship to whatever language you're brought up around and shit, it influences your worldview. You know what I'm saying? And if we think about this term God in the context of American society, invariably we will come to the conclusion that it's linked with Jesus. For some, it's linked with other names, but generally speaking, when we're talking about us, it's linked to Jesus, right?
Right.
Now, it has pre-connotations. We've done this experiment before. And again, I go back to what I said before. I think it's a waste of time simply due to the evidence of even using that term and trying to flip it to mean what we want it to mean, right? Because like I always say, if you want to know who God is, you ask the most important individuals in our group, which are the babies.
Right.
And I guarantee you they won't say you.
That's right.
You had said something the other day that stuck with me. You said if sometime there is or something that you're thinking about or a theory. I forgot by verbatim what you said, but there is some positive delusion terms or whatever. Like I think I asked you, well, is it a mating ritual if a brother and a sister call each other king and queen and they actually in a relationship with each other? And you had said something after that. So, do you think that this can also be something a positive delusionary term, or like you said, is it something that we basically are running away from to not even focus on white people when we have these conversations and things of that nature?
Well, I'll say this. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It could be one of those contradictory, for lack of a better way of me putting it, positive delusions. However, due to the evidence we see, like let's take the word nigga, right? At some point in our history, we were saying we taking that word back. You know what I'm saying? We gonna flip it. We gonna put a AH at the end, and we gonna take back the part. But that shit is only cool right up until some white person comes up and call you a nigga.
Right.
So we have tangible, practical evidence that would suggest that this shit is futile, and yet we still fucking do it. It's like walking up against the motherfucking wall and continuing to do it like ow, ow, ow.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a waste of fucking time. I see no evidence that shit is going to go ahead.
Sorry, I think we're trying to inspire each other. Sometimes it works. You'll see somebody that might be almost down and out, and you can say something to them and get them inspired. Sometimes I think that we're trying to pick each other up when we say queen and king and things like that.
I could actually attest to that. There was a woman who was actually suicidal, and Just the fact that a black man or a black male actually referred to her as a queen or a goddess on a post, because she was posting like for a week. I think it was on Facebook. It was over a year ago. Posting on Facebook about how she was down and out. She had like not only had a miscarriage, her man left her. She had lost her job because she was depressed. Like she felt like she couldn't live, and just got positive feedback from a bunch of men or males. You know what I'm saying? And she said that actually kept her going. So sometimes I feel like a lot of people will take something that is supposed to be good and use it for their own benefit, like using the black woman as God just to get something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But there are other times where it's very beneficial.
Now I won't
Especially from.
negate that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, you good, you
I
good. But
see. I
I
like.
also wanted to go on your point off code about when you said if you wanted to know what a god was, ask the kids or ask the baby. If you had if a newborn baby could talk, you know what I'm saying, who do you think it would call God? Its mother.
Mama.
Exactly.
Well, that word has to be introduced first. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
yeah,
That
it would
ain't
it
no
would have to know what a god is exactly, but you know what I'm
Right,
exactly.
saying.
but then we
So
just
I
kind of
want to.
talking verbal semantics to a degree because here's a couple things. That's why I love off code because off code is just straight up raw. He's just going to tell it like it is. But I mean, even when we go back to your term, the word nigger, you have our people in the location where they took us from, the Niger, right by the Niger River, and the Caucasian who misenunciates and pronounces it incorrectly and says nigger. When it comes over here and they start to defame us, it ends up in the dictionary as an ignorant person. But before you get there, it just refers to the particular river that we come from, that location. And that's how they referred to us as a group of people, though that was never a country. It was just recognized as that particular river. The other coin to that would be Negus, which is in Ethiopia or Eritrea,
Yeah,
which means sovereign or king.
yeah,
So these terms clearly have good connotation in their original sense. And in Africa, when you get to America and the defaming begins, that's when we have a problem with it.
yeah. Because words
This is
like
what
Brother
you think
Miller.
that you like about yourself against you.
Yeah, because what you said is bring a good point. Because we got to realize the Brother Miller I talked to, you know him, Asar. He said words are just placeholders,
Yup.
and that's what they are. Because even when you look in the Bible, Simon is literally called a nigger, Niger, or Niger in the Greek, which means black, the black. But when it says nigger back then, it doesn't mean anything derogatory, right? But now, whatever meaning that word previously had it's now filled in with something else, right? Because of slavery, what Asar just said, how Europeans started using it. So, so now that's why some people are now calling themselves more or whatever because of, it really does become a semantic thing after a while, because I remember there was a thing where people say, no, I'm not Afrocentric, I'm African centered. And I'm like, well, and that
That's my
becomes like a big,
semantics, yeah.
that was like a big thing. Like they'll have a real debate about that. And I'm like, it does become a semantic thing after a while.
I want to speak on the semantics right quick, right? Because I love it when we talk like this, right? We're using a term that comes from white people. We're speaking their language, right? So let's go in depth with this shit because it's interesting how we say we got this fast food mentality that's been bred in us, while white people got sayings like the devil is in the details. Translated to me is scrutinize, analyze, right? So when we say semantics, that's like a blanket term. However, white people, they got branches to semantics. So what kind of semantics are we truly talking about? Formal semantics, truth conditional semantics, conceptual semantics, lexical semantics, computational semantics? Which form? You know what I'm saying? Let's get down to the nitty gritty of it.
Well, in this
Because
case, we're talking about the country in Africa, Niger. Capital is Niamey. Uh, it basically the prime. That's let me see. Let me see the best way to break this down. So we're talking about, and this is by Mali, which we know most of us came from. So we're talking about an African word, an African country, and an African location, where the linguistics of the area that they took a lot of us from, Niger, Mali, and those different locations, has been flipped to be derogatory. But if you go to this location in Africa, it's still used as a good-natured word. So when you get into semantics like that, or for instance, the black woman is God. No one in Africa said the black woman is God. They said she is Netcher, or they might have a different word for her, and that's how they referred to her. And they looked at her as deified. So you show respect to the things that bring you into an existence and that sustain you. The woman is definitely one of those things, and the first things that brought you into existence.
nah, I'm definitely up on that. You know, I think that we might be getting caught up in the crosshairs and shit when we don't acknowledge that, to a large extent, we are not those people anymore. You know what I'm saying? We
Ah,
have ties. We definitely have genetic ties and whatnot. Where? I don't know. I don't know a significant amount of us who has done research, let alone someone who's come to me, right, who looks like me, to take my sample and say, hey, here's where you come from.
well, this is why I helped Reggie during the Moor debate. Because if you say more, you got to have a ship that actually brought you from some area in Morocco. So when you see that the first round, that's basically the information that I dropped for my brother. And you see all the ships. You see the Akan people. You see the Ila Ife people. You see the Niger and the Mali people, a huge chunk of those, which most of us are. And you see some Moors on a smaller island. So you can claim what you want to claim. You can say you are who you are. And when you come out, you can definitely dictate and be who you want to be if you dig deep enough to find out who you truly are, what you want to be in life. But when it comes to just the actualities of it, we come from that location. Our DNA is the same, even though it's been mixed maybe with the European.
Y'all still there?
Yeah,
Star? I think he dropped off. Would
So,
anybody else like to make a statement or anything?
I think that we're a little bit too hard on women. We don't give them any kind of room when we're criticizing. You can't push their back against the wall. Um, I would not begrudge them to fight back by trying to bring something up that would make us respect them. I'm not exactly putting my words together right, but we're a little bit too critical.
in what regards? Be specific.
In a lot of ways, they come out and really smash them, like with the different channels on YouTube and Facebook. Um, we just push them into one box where it's like one person does something to you, all of them get punished, and you got to specify what it was that you don't like. Like I'll tell you in a minute. As long as you're not part of white supremacy, I could get by with most things you do. I could try to help. I can pardon you or try to figure out how to handle it. As long as you're not part of the white society coming after like a black Ku Klux Klan woman. But some men just box all the women in, especially
Right.
with religion.
You're right. And then you can't, I mean, the term doesn't necessarily refer to every single woman. Don't act like, we don't act like there's no harlots in the building. But this is one thing that we tend to do. We tend to look on the fallen members of our community before we look onto the risen members of our community. You don't see the European running around pointing out the flaws in the people that they have, even though they have a higher crime rate than us, and more European crime on crime than we have black on black crime. They point out the venerated doctors, who they are, the deified beings. We are the ones in all the different cultures who run to our worst citizens and try to uphold them in front of the public. It's not necessary. We got doctors and stuff the same. So we have a lot of success stories over non-success stories. The only
Think
issue,
that we're trying to get validation from them, or we
I
still?
think so. I think so. Most people are worried about, and you'll hear this all the time. I want y'all to start looking. If we keep doing stuff like that, I mean, you're going to set us back 100 years. What does that mean?
Exactly.
What are you saying? What are you trying to tell us? Who cares what he thinks? What matters is, what do you have? What do you have control of? And what are you willing to go step up and own and take responsibility for? Not what he thinks or she thinks. I could care less. I could care less what so-and-so thinks. It's about how I move and if I'm comfortable.
Well, I want to speak on what you just said just a second ago when you said you're not talking about all so-called black women, because I don't use that term, woman, at all. So I replaced it and made up a different term, BAF, black at all female, right?
Okay.
Now, when you say it's not all, when that phrase is said, the black woman is God, you are speaking about all.
Oh yeah, the way it's worded, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. At some point in time, all of them have the potential to be. The question is, what will they become? How will they portray themselves? So, absolutely. And I like the BAF. That's cute right there. I like that.
Yeah, me too.
So are we still in a child state of trying to search and find and trying to be creators and when I was a shorty I wanted to be a part of the neighborhood because I felt the neighborhood was bigger than I thought my neighborhood was the whole world, to be honest with you. That's how small-minded I was at that time as a child growing up. But we reaching for something that's that really doesn't matter. I mean, we hit some points on here as far as maybe it might be positive in a way, I guess, to try to uplift. Then the brother off code brought up that we aren't those same people. We basically a whole new breed. You know what I'm saying, in so many words. I mean, I don't know if it's pit bulls out there striving to be wolves. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if we're a whole new breed, though, because let's look at it. Well, what we do know is that we're empty of a lot of the things that we used to hold dear, and that we picked up a lot of things that shouldn't, like the black suicide rate. You could never imagine in the 80s and 90s somebody committing suicide on Facebook that's black. That wasn't an issue we had. You understand what I'm saying? So when you see some of the different things that we pick up from different cultures, you have to start to question, do you really want to pick up that society's ills and woes? Popping pills. All this stuff is new. Yeah, we are empty and void of a lot of the stuff that we used to be, but that doesn't mean that we're not still those people. It just means we've tended to act differently than our original cultural upbringing.
So my little sis KK, man, she had brought up a point, and you know, this is kind of off topic, but you know, we keep it open here on this panel. But
Right.
she had she had brought up, you know, a picture that she ran across. You know, it was very graphic. I did not want to see it, but when she was telling us about it, like, you know, we picking up a lot of their ways. You know, it was now you see everybody talking about they eating ass and shit like that. I don't know if that started in Africa or whatever, but it seemed like we picking up their ways to I don't know. It just we picking up a lot of their ways. I remember you mentioned that. So is it like you know, are we basically children? And I think the brother well, I know the brother Offco basically said that we just basically retard versions of them.
Yeah.
He's right. Let me give you a for instance real quick, then I'm gonna shut up a little bit.
Oh, you good, bro?
All of y'all in the youth, in our youth movement right now, everybody who's younger, you all talk like Cyndi Lauper. Most of you don't know who Cyndi Lauper is, but she basically invented Valley Talk with some of her Californian friends. It was funny for us in the 80s. Now, most of the youth, you talk like Cyndi Lauper, and you think it's correct English. Though English, even the way I enunciate and pronounce it, has changed even from my time, in the, you know, I was born in 74, till from the 20s. So you guys sound like Cyndi Lauper. Everything is like, well, like, and that's the new thing. That's how you guys get down. But obviously, just something as simple as the linguistics changing over the course of maybe 5 to 10 years, you guys have started talking like that. This has become the norm in English, where I have bosses that speak in that nature. And when I work the other job that I own, I have people that are under me that speak in this nature, and they consider this to be correct English.
Yeah, I myself had a problem with that for a while. And I still have a little bit of one, but yeah, we definitely need to change the way we view things. In regards to what Asira and Kay were talking about with the photographs, I had seen some of these photographs online that I can share with you.
Yeah, Sharon. Let's see.
Okay, so do you see that?
Oh yeah.
She belongs on a pedestal for all to see her melanated beauty, melanated goddess. But they spelt the word pedestal wrong. They spelled it as two words, and stool, S-T-O-O-L. Now, I don't know if that's meant to be an insult, or if the person who made this meme was just an idiot. But it just goes to show you what Kay and even myself have said in the past about the use of this word or the term "the black woman is God." It's you have a bath naked on a pedestal, and then this use of this word as if they're referring to her that she's shit or not worth shit.
Yeah.
And
Now look, could I please comment on that? The same person that made that meme would then tell a stripper to go cover up.
yeah, then
Like,
you have this one.
yeah, see, like, look at this. Why is this picture different from a King or Smooth magazine model in the same exact position?
Exactly. And then they go, scientifically, the black woman is the only organism that possesses the mitochondrial DNA that has all the variations possible for every different kind of human being on Earth. When the DNA of a black woman mutates, all other types of human beings come about. You can research this topic, and it is true. This is called the Eve gene and is only found in black women. But I don't understand why they had to put a naked bath on this picture to prove their point.
The hypocrisy
Yeah,
is
and
through.
I had
And then you have this one with this white guy who this guy right here, he's a Jew, and he makes these shirts. So he sells this shirt to BAFs and BAMs, and I would assume also white people. So he's profiting off of this slogan that we've come to venerate, that some of us have come to venerate, for his own purposes. And you have this one, which ironically was created by a Hebrew Israelite group, the Israel United to Christ movement, and there she's making like a tiger symbol, R. The black woman is God. Just more stupidity. And then you have keep calm, the black woman is God, but with the women depicted in the other memes, that doesn't make me feel all that calm, I have to say. And then you have this one, which P. Diddy, he posted this on his Instagram page. White women holding up the black woman as a symbol to be venerated. When have white women ever venerated black women? When have white women ever had positive views towards black women in general, black BAFs? Ever. So this, I just find that ridiculous and also hilarious, because
Greek times.
the number one enemy of the BAFs is the white woman. So I just thought that I wanted to point that out to show the hypocrisy in the use of this word, the black woman is God, when, well, the hypocrisy in the number of the people who use this word, and why we should be careful in how, in the wording that we use and in the way that it's used, because otherwise we could be adopting ideologies that really aren't beneficial to us. And as I pointed out on the previous show, that the word God isn't even an African word anyway. It's not even a Hebraic word, because God, there's no word God. There's Yahweh in Hebrew, and then the word God, that's a Germanic word. So that doesn't. I don't know why BAFs and BAMs have to use a term that really doesn't have anything to do with us. It's not of us. And yet, even the meaning of the word God, it means deity, but in Africa, the concept of God was more to do with elevation, as I had also pointed out. So rather than to using the word the black woman is God, I don't understand why we can't just focus on elevating each other and uplifting, rather than using this term, which, as Offcode said, is only, well, it is it's a plural word, so it's all inclusive. And while yes, all BAFs have the ability to be gods, many of them aren't in actuality a god, either because, well, yeah, no, primarily because they don't want to be. We all are in the situations that we're in because of our own choices. So if they wanted to be truly viewed as a god, they would make certain concessions. So to say that the black woman is God, there's just so many different issues with that term. But
with like the brother Offcode, when he when he came up with the BAF and the BAM.
Yes, BAFs and BAMs.
This is to everybody on the panel. Should we also create something that's new to describe ourselves and to uplift ourselves, other than God, King, and Queen? Is it our responsibility to create something else? And is it helpful, and is it basically, yeah, that's basically what I'm asking. Is it helpful, or is it something that we should do? Is it something that's so serious that we need to help our self-esteem, that we should create something new to maybe call ourselves, to uplift ourselves?
I believe one person, I don't remember if it was Offcode, had said that the term divine would be better, because then you have to think of what represents divine or what represents divinity, and so then when you think of it in that way, then the person would have to act in the way of a divine being.
Yeah.
So
That's the term of nature. This is why it was used then, and why we still use it now, because that's what it means. It's Heken Necher, praisers of the divine, to be divine, Shemsu Necher, following what's divine, and yeah, that's an awesome word. I think you should use different words and different slangs to come up with the same way we came up with different slangs to make things different. But I don't think you guys should overthink living. I think you should just live. You know what I'm saying? I think that what you do need to do is economically set down something, make rules concerning the personas in your community. So if someone disrespects an African descended woman, this is a problem instantly. Instantly. That hasn't changed since we were young. You definitely don't call anybody's girl, sister, mother, or any of that the B word or something wild, you know, and then at the same time make them hold themselves accountable for the way that they because I don't mind the scanty dress. I wouldn't care if there was no clothes, because that's how you came out initially. But if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, then you have to understand what you're doing and what happens when you do that. Or if you're running around, you know, dressed like this, and then, you know, you don't even talk to black men at all, and you know what I'm saying, as friends or any of the above, and you know, that's where the issues come into play. That's where they come
definitely,
into play.
because we need balance. If the black woman is God, or if the black woman is divine, then the black man has to also be divine. You cannot have the one without the other. I saw a video today. It had come out last year. It was by Tommy Sotomayor, and I don't usually pay attention to anything that he has to say. But this video was talking about a documentary that that actor from you saw it, Kay. What is the name of that? Steve Buscemi. That's his name. Steve Buscemi. He did a documentary about gay baps and bams in this one community, and how there's this gay gang that they run the streets. But in the documentary, it's as if they're venerating this gang for standing up or whatever for themselves. And so gay people in this community are looking to white people for validation because of the ostracization they've received in the black community. But as Tommy Sotomayor pointed out, the problem with this is that, one, white people are using these gay baps and bams to target the black community.
Exactly.
And then
Exactly.
the second primary problem being that these baps and bams are a direct product of the lack of a woman or lack of a father figure in the home. So when you have baps or bams running around saying singular terms as the black woman is God or the black woman is God, rather than black people are divine, black people are supreme beings, then you have a problem. You're separating the black man and the black woman, and the black man and the black woman depend on each other, especially in this paradigm. But even just naturally, you cannot have, because the black woman is God and the creator and everything, but she can't create without the black man, because even though, yes, BAFs can create with other people of different races, they can't create more of her. So therefore, the BAF is dependent on the BAM for her own survival. If you think of it from a biological standpoint, people procreate to create more of themselves. So the BAF is dependent on the BAM for her own survival, because she can't create more of herself without a BAM. So Therefore, the black woman cannot be God on her own. She must be part of the Trinity, because the black man, the black woman, the black family is the physical representation of the Trinity.
That's beautiful.
Yes, so we must focus on the divine being of black people, not us as singular beings, as out there in the solar system, totally independent of each other, because that's not it's not representative of our reality, and it's not representative of anything even in nature. Because everything in most beings, most animals in nature depend on another animal for their survival.
I want to say this. It wasn't off code who was speaking about the divine thing. That out
Okay.
there. Now, what was the question again, Asir?
I was asking, like yourself, had with you had created the BAM and bath.
Yes.
Is it important for us to also to create other terms and words or slang to uplift ourselves, other than this king, queen, and God?
I think it might be constructive, and that's exactly why I created those terms, to eliminate the goddamn human bond that the terms man and woman provide for us in the context of America. It
Yes.
attaches us to white people, white
Yes.
men and white women. Let's see. So yeah, I mean, because terms are behavioral modifiers. Anybody on this panel, if I called you, some derogatory term and shit, it's gonna change your goddamn behavior towards me. So white people ain't gonna do that for us, and I
No.
think it'll be constructive for us to when we create terms, and then there's some kind of consensus amongst us, which doesn't have to be 100%, but we got a nice amount. We can then begin to start steering the conversations and give the babies a platform where they control. They're steering their conversations, other than having white people in the conversation via the language or the terms.
Exactly. I highly agree, off code. But I believe that we've fully exhausted the topic. Unfortunately, we're not able to get Crystal on the show today, but we did get a good view of the opposite side of the topic from the comedic standpoint and ideological standpoint. So I'm going to close out now. This is Black Starr Empress Hour from Black Star 1 with your sisters, Cookie and Kay. I'd like to give a shout out to all of our guests for their participation on our panel, as well as those who are out there listening in. Please be sure to check us out on Google+, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and please be sure to check out our podcasts on Podomatic and SoundCloud.